Hi fashion lovers, you're welcome to another tutorial. Today's edition we are going to be learning how to recreate this super sweet piece. Without any further say or do, let's dive in. Okay, to make this I'll be having 2 yards of Ankara fabric and I'll be using this half yard of crepe fabric. It is having 2 faces. So this is the Ankara piece I'll be using, and then I'll move further to fold it into 4 pieces like we'll do make our normal bodice. So I'll fold it into 2. Mind you, this dress is a shoulder and sleeve cut together. Yeah, there is no different sleeve attachment. The shoulder is cut along with the sleeve, and the sleeve is cut along with the shoulder. So from the up area, I'm going ahead to mark my neck width of 3 inches. I'll go ahead and mark a neck width of 3 inches and a neck depth of 3 inches also. So I'll mark my shoulder measurement 8 inches, and what I'm having left there is going to be for my sleeve length. So from that end of the shoulder area, I'll come down by 1.5 inches for my shoulder slope. I'll go ahead and connect the lines like you see me do, like so. So I'll connect the lines to slope down the shoulder. So I'll now move further to mark my neck depth. My neck depth of 3 inches. I use 3 inches for the neck depth. So I'll go ahead and mark it, and after marking, I'll connect it to the neck width. Do you get? So this is just as simple as you can use your free hands to do this. If you want to make use of a pattern master, you can go ahead and do. So I'll go further to mark my measurements, my waist measurement, my bust, and my hips. That's shoulder to waist, shoulder to hips, and shoulder to bust, respectively. So after marking that, I'll now go ahead and put my measurements. I'll go ahead and input my measurements. So I'm going ahead to make sure that the lines are straightening up. So from this shoulder slope, I'll come down by 8 inches. That will be for the sleeve round. Yeah, I'll come down by 8 inches. Later, I realized it was too small for me. But if you have more fabric, you can do more. You can do 10. You can, depending on how wide you want it to be. So to put my measurement, I added extra 4 inches at all the measurement areas. At the bust, I put my actual bust and I added extra 4 inches. That's 3 inches for ease and 1 inch for sewing allowance. Do you get? My bust is 10, so plus 4, that is 14. Then that 1 inch extra is for the seam allowance, and the ease I added was 3 inches. So depending on your size, you can do more, you can do less. Do you get? So I just did what suits me best. So and of the waist, I did the same thing, extra 4 inches to my actual waist measurement. On the hip area, I did the same thing, extra 4 inches to my actual hip. So I'll go ahead and connect the lines just like you can see. And after connecting, I'll give a little curve from that 8 inches sleeve opening that I left. So I'll give it a little curve from around that part, and then I will take it down. So at the hem area, exactly what I have on the hips is what I'm going to be putting at that hem area. Yeah. So you can adjust straight up. Mind, this is a free Bubu. This is a normal Bubu. So at the hem side, your hips and the downside should be equal. No any shaping or whatever. So after marking all of these, I'll go ahead and cut it out. So I'm going for that to cut out. This is just as simple. This is something you can just do in less than an hour. Yeah, this is just so simple, guys. So I'll cut out the shoulder slope. I'll go ahead and cut the neck. So after cutting, I realized that the sleeves were not that equal, so I had to trim it off to be equal. So I'll now go ahead and open it up, and we'll now do the alterations. So for this, I came down from the neck area by 4.5 inches. For around this part, come down by 4.5 inches. This is this is the styling of the dress, so you just pay attention. I came down by 4.5 inches from the neck area. Then from the shoulder area also, I'll still make sure that this 4.5 inches is appearing there also. So I'll connect it into a straight line like you see me do. Then after that, from the other shoulder, I will come in by 5 inches. You can do 6, you can do 7. This is the part that is open around the shoulder. This is the part that is somehow off the shoulder. So it all depends on how open you want yours to be. So I'll go ahead and take 5 inches. Then I'll connect it from the other neck area to that 4.5 inches, and then straight up to the 5 inches with a curve like this. Just watch closely. You are going to see what I am doing. So after this, I'll go ahead and bring my scissors and I'll cut it out. So I'm making sure that whatever I have there is very, very accurate. So you have to take note of all these measurements because we'll still use them later. The 4.5 inches from the neck area and the 5 inches away from the shoulder. So you have to make sure that you keep them, you don't forget about it because that's what we'll be using to create that black styling that is there. So after now, I'll go ahead and cut it out. And after I cut it out, so I'll go ahead and cut it. And after cutting, I will get my black crepe material. So I'll place this on the black material, on the black crepe, because the two of them, the necks are equal, both at the front and at the back. So I'm going to be placing this together. And while I'm placing it, I'm making sure that I'm having up to 3 inches to 3.5 inches because that's what should be serving as the cape that I'll be having. So I'm going to make my adjustments and I'll mark it from the neck area. I'll mark it around the neck. But while I am marking, I'm going to make sure that I will be having up to 3 to 3.5 inches. So I will open it up and use my tape rule to measure what I'm having from one end of it to the other end to check if it is up to 3. You can do 2.5, but 3 is okay on the maximum because you join it up with 1/2 inch at the neck area and you still fold it in with 1/2 inch. So that's going to be leaving you with a 2.5 inches after everything. Do you get? So I'm going to be using 3.5 inches. So after I finish stitching and doing everything, I'll be left with 2.5 inches. Because I'll use 1/2 inch to turn it at the neck area and I also use 1/2 inch to sew it at the downside. So do you get? So that's why I'm using 3.5 inches. So I'll now raise this up and mark what I'm having. It is enough. So I can now go ahead and mark with my chalk. So when you are placing this, make sure that the neck of the front and the back, they are equal. Because not anyone now is bigger than each other. The way the style is, the front and the back is equal. So you can even use the front for the back. That's after the cloth you have finished making the clothes. You can use the front for the back. You can also use the back for the front. They are just interchangeably. Both of them are equal. So I'll go ahead and get my chalk and I'll mark this up just like you see me do. And after marking, I'll remove it to take my measurements. Yeah, like I told you guys, I used a width of 3.5 inches. The length of 3.5 inches, for the cape. So I'm going for that to mark the 3.5 inches all round. I'm going to mark it 3.5 inches round like so, just like you can see me do. I mark 3.5 inches all around from the neck area, So the way I marked it, so I'll go ahead, after marking it, I'll now go ahead and cut. So for this, I used a lining to turn it out. I wasn't having a fixable gum, like a gum stay or paper gum to iron on it. So I got my black lining and I used it to turn it out. Yeah, I stitched it at the lower area and it was nice. So this is the second cape. I'm going to be cutting it one after the other. So this is the second cape that I used. Mind you, the cape is going to be 2 for the front and for the back area. So this is the second one. And after cutting this now, I'll go ahead and get my lining and then cut the facing, the one I'm going to use to turn it with the lining. So I'm going to use my lining to turn it out. Do you get? So this means I've placed it on my lining. I am going to be cutting it immediately. So the essence of the lining is just to turn it out so that it will have a little bit of structure. But if you don't have a lining or you don't want to make use of a lining, you can use your paper stay or gum stay. Any stay of your choice, you can make use of it. But the only thing is that it's going to now make you to fold in the down area. But because I have a lining, I just stitched the down area like so. I just stitched it and I left the neck side that I used to turn the gown. Do you understand? So I'm now cutting the second one. That's the second one that I'm cutting now. So after this, I'll go ahead and join them up and bring to show us. So this is the lining and the cape itself. I've joined them up and I use my gum stay to hold them up together to give it a little bit of structure. Sorry, not gum stay, hemming gum to fold it, to hold them up. So I'll go ahead and place it on the material, on the fabric that we have already cut. I'm marking the side that is the off shoulder because you have to mark this so that you will not be confused which part is going off and which part is not going off. So from that neck area, I came down by 1 inch and I'm connecting the lines to give it a slopey effect. So that's the slope that you saw on the thumbnail. That's the slope that is on the dress on the thumbnail. That's how to achieve it. So I'll go ahead and cut that out. So after now, I'll go ahead and join this now. Yeah, I'll join the cape to the dress, and then I will join up the shoulder and I'll bring it to show. So if you want to join this, you place the front of the cape to the back of the fabric, because this cape now is going to serve as the turning. Do you get? So you place the front of the cape to the back of the fabric so that when you finish sewing, it will be turned like this. So don't forget, after stitching, you top stitch it so that it can sit and lay flat. So I've gone ahead to do mine. So I'll bring these two shoulders and I'll join them together. So after joining the two shoulders, this is what I got. So for this long strip, I have 2.25 inches or 2 inches at a hole, and the length is the length of your gown from at the back and at the front. So to replace all those measurements that we took off, I will now mark the center of this long strip now. So from the center, we took out 5 inches for the off shoulder. So from that center of the long strip, I will measure 5 inches replacement so that it can sit very fine. I told you my strip is 2 inches. So the center of it is 1 inch. So from that center 1 inch, I will now come in by 5 inches. And mind you, we minus 4.5 inches from this area. So I'll go ahead and still mark that 4.5 inches and use my chalk to make it very obvious so I won't be confused. So that's the 4.5 inches that is off. Then from that other side, that the 5 inches was the one that is going to be giving it the off shoulder effect. Do you understand? So I'll go ahead and mark. Remember, I told you guys not to forget, so that because we are going to be using them later on as the class progresses. So I'll go ahead and make sure that I have not shifted that. What I'm having is exactly 5 inches. So if it's 6 inches you did for your own, that's for the shoulder opening, you can also make yours. Just take your accurate measurement. Depending on how open you did, you will now replace it like that. So from there now, I'll mark how many I'm having to the sleeve area, and what I'm having is 11.5. Do you understand? From that still center of that long strip, I'll mark the what I am having from that center to the end of the sleeve area. Do you understand? So what I got here is 11 inches. It depends on how big your own is. Yours can be more, yours can be lesser. Do you get? So but mine was 11.5. So is that 11.5 now that I will now fold in? So when I fold it in, I will use my pressing iron to give it a crease line. Yeah, this is something you can do on your own, but I like to have it pressed out so that I will not be confused. So after folding it, I'll still make sure to note that I have that 11.5 inches from the center. So I'm going ahead to mark it like so. Yeah, so that's me marking the 11.5 inches, and I'll fold it straight down, and I'll bring my pressing iron to press it so that I can get a very nice crease line. So that's what I'm doing now. After ironing, I will now open it up. So when I open it up, automatically it has given me the crease that I wanted. Do you understand? So at this point, I want to go ahead and mark the length of my gown. Initially, I didn't mark it. So I'm looking for a length of 40 inches, then extra 2 inches for sewing allowance. So all in all, I'll be having 42. But I later went up with 40.5. Yeah, I later went up with 40 because I realized that 42 was going to be too long. So later use 40.5. So I'll mark it all straight to the other side of the gown, and I'll go ahead and cut it out. Do you understand? So you can just use your desired length. You can make it shorter, you can make it longer, you can still use the length that I use. So it all depends on your preference. So after now, I'll go ahead and open up this iron part. You see that crease line that I talked about? So I'll use my chalk now to mark on it so that it can be very, very revealed. It can be so obvious that I will now see it to stitch my long strip on it. So do you understand? So I'll go ahead and mark it both at the front area and at the back area. This is the back now that I'm marking. So I've flipped it over and I am marking the crease line area also. Alright, so after now, I'll bring that long strip also And when I'm bringing it, I'll still make sure to take my measurement so that I will not still forget, because I removed it before ironing. So I want to make sure that all the measurements are accurate. So from that part that I mark now, I'll go ahead and get my pins and pin this up straight on the line, on that crease line. So I'll make sure that the center of this long strip is on the center of the crease line. Yeah, that line that I have marked. I'll make sure that the two centers are aligning with each other. So I'll go ahead and use my pins. This is me making sure that they are all sitting perfect. I'll go ahead and use my pins and I'll pin them up together. So do you get? So yeah, I'll mark the center like this and I'll pin it up. So guys, if you have watched this video to this part, I don't know what you are waiting for to subscribe to this channel. Please subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up and like this video so that YouTube algorithm will know that yes, this your baby girl is making some sense here. So I've gone ahead to pin it on the one side and I've done on the other side too. So the next thing now is to bring the black strip that's going to be on the sleeve area. So that is what I'm having, and I'll now go ahead and join all of this, and after joining I'll still bring it to show us what I am having. So I've gone ahead to join them up. You can see I've joined the strip, I've joined the sleeve area. So I'll now go ahead and impute my pockets and I will shape it up and hem the down area, and that is all about it. Our gown is set, our gown is ready. So if you watch this video to this end, kindly subscribe to this channel, like this video, feel free to share it to your friends. Bye, see you in my next one.